Hey VC, how we doing? In this video, I'm probably late addressing this, but earlier last week, Derek posted a video saying that he had a lot of love and admiration for Phil Collins, and that was based on an interview Phil Collins did not too long ago saying that he was interested in writing again and writing music again, possibly touring again. And to a big Phil Collins fan like myself, like Derek, hearing news like that was real exciting. You're like, oh, great, you know, it's been too long. It's been way too long without any music or any activity from him. But unfortunately, the backlash from the rest of the public was all the Phil Collins haters came out of nowhere and said, oh, God, not another one from this guy. We hate your music. And I think then Phil Collins recently did an interview in Miami. I don't know what he was promoting. A charity of his. He expressed that he found that on the internet, all this backlash of him announcing he wants to work again, and he said it really surprised him how much hate came his way because he's now showing an interest in working again, and I thought that was too bad because, like I said, I'm a big fan of his, and I think he's a great musician. And the way I saw it is, well, like, you know, him releasing music, you know, it can't be as bad as some of the other pop music that's been coming out in the last couple of years. I can't imagine him doing any worse than what's already out there now. Not to say all pop music is bad, but there is a very high percentage of it that is, and I can't see him doing any worse than them. So why not? Why not Phil Collins doing it again? So in this video, I want to just show just my Phil Collins vinyl, just Phil Collins, a solo artist. I'm not going to show any Genesis or any Brand X records or records he drummed on, just his. And, you know, probably one of my favorites, Face Value. Some great songs on here. And what I liked about the first two records from Phil Collins was they were released in a gatefold, and they had all these personal photos and some of the notes he made, giving credits to musicians. In the background of those notes, you can see in the white some of the notes from his songs, just notes to the engineer and blah 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 while they were making it. So it gave you a personalized look into the album. Great songs on here, of course, In the Air Night being the big one, but I love the song I Missed Again, This Must Be Love, Behind the Lines, which was a remake of a Genesis song. Roof is Leaking is a great song. Hand in Hand is an amazing instrumental. Sounds great live. Thunder and Lightning's good. If Leaving Me Is Easy sounds great. There's some wonderful songs on here, and this is a great record to have. It's hard for me to pick a favorite Phil Collins album because there's so many good ones, but this is up there. I don't really have a number one favorite. Because the moods change, but there's a lot of variety on this album. You know, there's soft ballads, there's instrumental fusion type songs, there's straight up pop songs with a dark tone to it, like In the Air Tonight. So a lot of variety on this record, so it makes this a really good album. The next up was Hello Must Be Going. Again, like Face Value, it has the gatefold. This time with a lot of family photographs, pictures of his kids, picture of the musicians that were on this record, his friends. Some good stuff. I mean, it looked like a family photo album, and this has like a family photo album feel inside the gatefold. And of course, there's the back. I really like that idea. I wish he had kept doing that with his records, showing these home photos here. Really nice. But some good music on here as well. I Don't Care Anymore has to be my favorite drum track from Phil Collins. Love the toms on there. Here's the original sleeve that came with it. And of course, he hand wrote everything on the label. So that's all his handwriting there, all the names of the songs, the name of the record, all the legal stuff he wrote by hand and put it on the record label. Cool touch. So anyway, I Don't Care Anymore. Great drum part. I love the tom pattern in that song. I learned how to play that song when I was a teenager. One of the first songs of his songs I learned how to play on drums. It was a must. Like China is a good song. Do You Know, Do You Care is probably one of my favorite pissed off Phil Collins songs. It's a real pissed off song. That and I Don't Care Anymore. I mean, this is more of an angry record, more in the lines of In the Air Tonight. Has a remake of You Can't Hurry Love. I gotta admit, it's a good remake. It's a really good remake. I'm not a big fan of that song, but it is a good remake. I Don't Care Anymore, a good song. Through These Walls was always known as the pervert song. It's about a guy who puts the glass to the wall and listens into the people getting down in the other room, so it's known as the pervert song to us Phil fans. The West Side, great instrumental, kind of jazz influence a bit. Beautiful saxophone solo by Don Myrick. The Phoenix Horns really sound fantastic on that song. They were on the first album, Face Value, and as well as this one. And this album generated his first solo concert tour in the early 80s. And I have the video cassette to that, where he just played songs from this album in Face Value, really nice. And this is where I actually discovered him. My brother bought this album when it was new on cassette back in '85, and it's what made me such a big Phil Collins fan was No Jacket Required. Just like, I mean, everybody knows, if you were watching MTV during the 80s, you know pretty much every song on this album. The ones that don't get talked about very much, and a song I really love is A Long, Long Way to Go. Sting does vocals towards the end of the song. Really nice song, really laid back and chilled with a lot of atmosphere. Talks about street violence and how pointless it is. Some good lyrics too. Take Me Home closes the album out. Without a doubt, one of my favorite Phil Collins songs is Take Me Home. That is just such a great song. Always sends chills to me. Still to this day, I must have heard that song about 1,000,000 times and still love it. And the song before it is a song called Inside Out. Inside Out doesn't get talked about much unless you dive into these albums at a weird rate like I do. One of his best songs, those two together, closes out this album perfect. And those two songs, Inside Out and Take Me Home, are probably what I love about his writing the most, is shown in those two songs. This is a great album. Yeah, it's dated because of the drum sounds. A lot of drum machine and keyboard bass. It kind of dates it, but still a great album. Real fun to listen. The last album of his I have on vinyl, Studio Records, is But Seriously. This came out in 1989. It's a follow-up to No Jacket Required. The first single that came off of here is Another Day in Paradise, which was a great song. I still remember when I was 19 and first heard it for the very first time on radio. I thought it was a great song. I knew that there would be just a mega hit when I first heard it, and sure enough, later it just became a huge song. It actually won him a Grammy. The song on here I love the most is called Colors. It's a real long song. It starts off, you think it's a ballad at first, and then it goes into a drum and marimba section. It sounds real tribal, and then the tempo really picks up. Great song, Colors. Phil really stretches out as a writer and really pushes the envelope on that song, I think, because it wasn't really a pop song. It was one of those album tracks it was really cool to listen to. Never heard on the radio because it was just a really long song, but I really would have loved to sing it live. And of course, the great pop song Something Happened on the Way to Heaven. Just a great song. And this is a very good album. Unfortunately, I think after this point, I would stop listening to Phil Collins. I think his albums after that was Both Sides of the Story, Dance in the Light, and Testify. And those three albums I don't own. I remember I bought Both Sides of the Story the day it came out on CD. Didn't like it. Went down to Tower Records, demanded my money back, and they gave me store credit, and I bought something, which started my obsession with Eric Johnson CDs. But and later on, years later, a friend of mine on the internet, we were both big Phil Collins fans, she was trying to sell me on that album. I told her I never got into it. She burned it for me, and I realized, well, this wasn't such a bad album after all. But I think I was expecting something along the lines of his first solo records, and Well, I stopped buying his records after, but seriously. Okay, I'm going to show you some something else by Phil Collins here. Collins on Collins. This is like a interview disc that came out in 1985. He was promoting the album and tour for No Jacket Required, and they would the record company would ship this off to radio stations. So you have one side that has the questions and answers. Side two would just have the answers, along with a transcript of the whole interview. And you know what the DJs can do at the radio stations, they can edit it and make it sound like he was in studio. They can actually say the questions themselves and then play the tape of him saying the answers to make it sound like he was being interviewed in their radio studio. So really cool to have this on vinyl. It's a collector's type of thing. 12-inch single for Don't Let Him Steal Your Heart Away. This was off the Hello, I Must Be Going album. It was a ballad. I didn't care much for that. I mean, the song was okay. He has better songs. But what made me want to get this was the live version of the song that's on the B-side, which is called And So to F. A live recording Phil Collins did with his band on his first solo tour in Pasadena, California, which I believe was in 82 or very early 83. And And So to F, I believe, was a Brand X song. And Phil Collins would just use that song to close out his shows on his first solo tour. So that's what made this 12-inch single so attractive to me, is you get a live recording of that song, and it sounds great. So one of the reasons why I wanted to score that one. Another one, 12-inch single for the song Like China, again from the Hello, It Must Be Going album. This is just a DJ copy. That's why it has the generic white label, and someone put on here AOR top track. And it's just the Like China, I think, on both sides of this record. Let me look to be sure. Excuse me. It is on the Atlantic label, as all his 12-inch singles are. And on the B side, we have the song I Cannot Believe It's True, which is also from the same album, Hello, I Must Be Going. I remember when I scored this 12-inch single, it was only a couple of dollars. And I had seen it in stores before, but they wanted something ridiculous, like almost 15 bucks for it, which made no sense to me because it only has 2 fucking songs on it. So it's like, why would I pay $2? I mean, so much money for only 2 songs. See it in another used shop for only a couple bucks, like, that's more like it. And I snagged it up, and now I got a rare piece of Phil Collins vinyl here, so, and didn't have to pay an arm and a leg for it. Okay, something from the No Jacket Required album, 12-inch single for Take Me Home. And I like the live picture in the back. This is when he was on tour for this album. Like I said, one of my favorite, probably my favorite Phil Collins song, the favorite one, is this one, Take Me Home. It's such a great, great song. Love it to death. And I'm trying to see what's on the B-side here, but they don't have it listed. Oh, on the B-side we have Only You Know and I Know, which is also from the same album, No Jacket Required. Great, high energy, up-tempo song. The Phoenix horns sound great on that song, Only You Know and I Know, and always cool to have this on 12-inch single, Take Me Home. Beautiful song. And the extended version of Don't Lose My Number, also from No Jacket Required. So you get the LP version, the extended version, and the song We Said Hello Goodbye, which was not included on the vinyl release, but was included on the CD release. So you get an extra track on here. Real nice. This one is a single from the album Hello, It Must Be Going. It's this for You Can't Hurry Love. And I do like the cover on this, that photo. Makes it look real 60s. As well as the back, a little story about the songs on this record. On the B-side, we have I Cannot Believe It's True, which is a studio track from that same album. And on here, it's entitled Oddball. Let me see there. There's a song here called Oddball. Now, Oddball was the homemade demo version of a song that later became to be Do You Know, Do You Care on the same album, Hello, Must Be Going. So you get to hear one of Phil Collins' demos. And on the demo, basically you get just the basic drum machine pattern with some really deep, dark sounding keyboards, and Phil Collins just singing gibberish, really. This is before he wrote any lyrics to the song. So he's basically singing the melody line, but he's not singing words. He's singing blah, 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 that kind of thing. So this is so it's a demo recording of before he even wrote the song, the lyrics of the song, Do You Know, Do You Care? So and of course on here it's called Oddball, so really cool find there. And the last 12-inch single from a film, the song Separate Lives. It was from the film White Nights, a duet he did with Marilyn Martin. This came out very late, 85, I think, around November or December is when it came out in 1985. And this was like his last #1 song of that year. And I believe it went to #1 or it charted really high. And on the B-side, we have Only You Know and I Know, the extended mix of the song. Kind of like a dance mix of that song. So really cool. So as you can see, I'm a pretty big fan of Phil Collins. I mean, my Genesis collection is even crazier than this. And, you know, I've said this story a lot of times, but I want to say it again because of the subject here. If it wasn't for Phil Collins, I wouldn't have become a drummer. He inspired me to become a drummer. I saw him in concert in '85 in June. I was just about to turn 15 then. I was thinking about playing the drums. I was curious about it, and then seeing him in concert, you know, the show started with just him on stage behind his white Gretsch drum set, and he played the tom pattern to I Don't Care Anymore, and over the PA it was like super, super loud. And it just sounded amazing to me. It was like the coolest thing I've ever seen. And from that moment on, I had to be a drummer. And then later in the show, when they would play, the band would play In the Air Tonight, it was just larger than life, and it just blew the crowd away. And I remember I went to see that concert with my two brothers and my cousin and a friend of the family. And it was all guys. And we all looked at each other like, man, we just seemed like the best concert we'd ever seen in our lives. I mean, and that was my first concert. I was the youngest one there, and they have seen concerts because they were all in their late teens, early 20s. So they've been to a lot of shows, and for the amount of shows they've been to, they said that was like the best one they had ever seen. So that's how good that night was. And I remember leaving the arena, getting in the car to go home. The local rock station announced that, hey, the Phil Collins concert just came out. The crowd was blown away. So for the next hour, we're just going to play nothing but commercial-free Phil Collins songs. So that we got to hear Phil Collins the entire ride home from the arena, which was really sweet. So great memories of that. And after that, I came home. I just said, that's it. From then, right the next day after the show, I knew I had to be a drummer, and started taking drumming really seriously. And here I am, 43, and still playing drums like a madman, and still bashing away behind my drum set. And so naturally I have a lot of love for Phil Collins, because if it wasn't for him, I would have never became a musician, and God knows what would have happened to me if I didn't go to that concert. Anyway, this turned out to be kind of a lengthy video, so I better stop here. Thanks for watching this, and see you guys in the next video.